Okay, we left off we're going to Revelation 7 today. We left off talking about how this stars in heaven and all that mighty wind throws the earth in chapter 6. That's going to come up again in chapter 8. Okay, now number 7 here, it says after these things, and by the way here, here's what we learned so far. We got the white horse, the red horse, black horse, and pale horse. And this is the time frame it all comes into effect here. Now notice I got these 144, it's supposed to be 144,000. And it's going to be first part of the trib. These guys are going to be out preaching. Now the reason I put them here is because what we're going to study today. And it says here the 144,000 is raptured. We're going to find out where it says, where they're going to rapture at in this part. We're going to find out exactly where it says. It's going to actually say the word caught up, just like I said, rapture in Thessalonians. So they will be caught up. We'll get into that today. And so this is here where the iron clay splits, the Antichrist takes over the temple, and the two witnesses, the 144 witnesses are raptured. The two witnesses take over, and we'll take over from there. But this gives you basically what's going to happen.
But the 144,000 still comes after the Antichrist is announced, right?
Right. Well, it's up to here, and he'll announce it here, and they're still here because it says he's going to go after them, and it says they're raptured, so they can't get him. They can't get him.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So it kind of makes here, the 144,000 here. Now where they start at, it doesn't really clear. I'm going to say it may overlap just a little bit there, but this gives you an idea of timeline where it's going to happen. Okay. Okay, chapter 7. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that they blow not on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to 4 angels, whom was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Hurt not the earth, and neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed God's servants in their foreheads. Okay, now these 4 angels here, what they're referring to is the next chapter. You're going to find out here the first 4 trumps. Don't do anything to these guys here in the last tribulation until you got these guys sealed. So he said it's actually giving us a time frame. These 444 is going to come before that. Hold up till we get them guys out of the way, and then you can have the judgment call, is what he's saying here. Okay. Now we're going to read about this here. And out of each tribe we'll send 12,000 guys. That's where they get the 144,000. Now I'm not going to read all of them. You got Judah, Asher, Nephi, and they go all the way down to chapter 8. And even Zebulun, and the tribe of Benjamin was 12,000. Okay, now whether you read this, you're going to know somebody's missing. Who is it? Anybody know? It's Dan. Dan was missing, and it's for a reason, and replaced him here with Manasseh, which was Joseph's son, actually. So why did they get rid of Dan? Poor Dan left out of the pictures. Let's look in, I'll read here for you. Dan was missing. Let's go to 1 Kings 12. Dan was a bad boy, his tribe was. And what he did was, they had 2 kings. Remember, Solomon died. Rehoboam, I guess is pronounced that way. He was to be king. Well, there's another guy, Jeroboam, says, I want to be king. And they was fighting. And of course, Rehoboam says, my father was bad, but you think he was bad? You wait till I'm even worse. I'm going to, his thigh, you see, my finger is going to be thicker than his thigh or something like that. In other words, they was wanting relief, and Rehoboam took bad judgment and said something stupid. Well, Jeroboam, he just says, well, we don't have to go to Jerusalem. Let's go get 2 calves, and let's make our own little Jerusalem right there in the area of Dan. This is here, if I read it for you here. 12:28. And whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves, and he said, it's too much that we go to Jerusalem. Behold, our gods, O Israel, which brought thee out of Egypt. We're going to say 2 calves did this instead of God. Now that's why Dan got in trouble. He says, we don't have to do that. It was the tribe of Dan that did this. And that's why I said, okay, God says, okay, fine. You don't get to be part of this as a revival coming into the tribulation period. Okay, that's why he is relieved. Because he wanted to lead Israel into idolatry. And God didn't like that. Okay, that's why he's not here, and that's why he's been replaced with another man. Okay, now let's go on here. Before going any more in this chapter here, I want to show you something here that in the book of Revelation, God repeats himself several times. It's like, remember he told the parable, just parable is, there was a pearl. He went for great price, and he bought that pearl, which you were the pearl. Okay, you understand? Then he turned around and said the same thing as there was a treasure in the field. Now, they both mean the same thing. You're the treasure, and you're the field. So he said more than once, and that's exactly what he does here. Let's go to chapter 12. Chapter 12. And here he's talking about the 144,000 again in a different position. Okay, let's look at this. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed in the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head was 12 stars. And she, being with child, travailed in birth, pained to be delivered. Ryan, who's she talking about? Who do you know? This reminds you of something in the Old Testament. What's he talking about? Got any idea? All right. Otherwise, you have that one. Okay, let's read here. It's Joseph, actually. Genesis 37, verses 9 and 10. Joseph had just told his brothers about how these sheaths bowed down to him, okay? And then he goes, I had another dream. God, what, brothers? I had another dream. Besides that one, he says this. And he dreamed another dream, and he said, it told it to his brother, and he said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more than, behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me. Okay, it's referring to what Joseph has said, and that's referring to Israel. See, mom and dad and all the Israelites were going to bow down to Joseph. Of course, he was talking about when he went to Egypt, but still it's talking about the nation that came from him. So it's talking about Israel. So Israel was this woman, clothed in the sun, the sun and the moon bowed down to him. That's what he's referring to. And he says, she's crying to be birthed. Now, who's going to be born? Okay, I'm telling you, it's the man-child. As we read this, it's going to sound a little bit like Jesus, but it's not. Okay, let's go on. And there appeared another... first, let's read something else, and we're going to read something else before I get any further than that, if I can find it real quick. Oh, here it is, in Isaiah 66:7. It says, before she travailed, she brought forth, before her pain came, and she was delivered of a man-child who has seen such thing. Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day, or a nation be born at once? For as soon as the son Zion was travailed, she brought forth her son. So as soon as Zion was going to go into the trial of travail, which is the tribulation period, she gave forth his son. That's before the 3.5 year tribulation period, the last half. So we get in here, we read on here, it says, and there appeared, verse 3, on wonder in heaven, and behold, the red dragon, which we know is Satan, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now that dates it. 7 heads and 7 crowns is the last half of the trib. See, they had 10 crowns in the first half of the trib. We'll get in this later when we get to talk about the beast. The second half, there's 7 crowns. So it says, we're dating this happening at the last part. Say, okay. Okay, this man-child come, and he drew his tail, third part of the earth, and did cast it to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, before Israel, ready to be delivered, to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God. Wait a minute, caught up? Where did we read that before? Let's read Thessalonians. And Thessalonians 4:17, 1 Thessalonians, then we which were alive and remain shall be caught up together. Well, we call that the rapture. And look at here, it says, and this man-child was caught up. He was raptured. And this is mid-tribulation. That's where it got that at, see? It says, and the woman, she fled for, 1,260 days. She, from mid-trib to the end of the trib, she fled to the wilderness. Remember what Jesus said, when you see that guy standing inside the temple, run. Don't go up and get your clothes, pack bags, get out of Dodge. This is what he tried to say, run to the mountains. And that's what this is. Last half tribulation is what he's saying here. Get out, because the Antichrist is in the temple, and he's going to, he actually does conquer Israel again. Israel does fall a second time. Okay. And so that's what it's talking about. And she brought forth a man-child and ruled the nation, was caught up to God. He was raptured. And the woman fled to the wilderness, where she had a place prepared to God, that he should feed her 1,260 days. You understand what's going on so far? And you get it? Okay. And there was a war in heaven, and the angels fought against the dragon and his angels. They prevailed not, and so they was cast out at that time. Okay, now, there's another time here. We go on a little bit more about these guys in chapter 14. And they looked, the Lamb stood in the Mount of Zion, and with him, to see the rapture. Now you're going to find him in heaven. That's what you see in the first rapture, where the church is taken out. You don't find them on the earth anymore. Every time he talks about they're in heaven. And that's what happens here. These guys are raptured. Now all of a sudden he's talking about where are they going to be at? They're going to be in heaven. Second rapture in heaven. And they had their 144,000, have their father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, and the voice of many waters, and the voice of great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers and harping their harps. And they sung a new song before the throne and before the four beasts that are in heaven, see, and the elders. No man can learn that song but the what? The 144,000. So they are in heaven now after the rapture they had, and they're there. Just like we are in heaven after our rapture, and they are there same way. Okay.
So with the person that's being told to run to the hills would give you the impression that not everybody gets.
Not everybody. This is for the 144 went. See, the rest of the Jews aren't raptured.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Being told to run to the hills, right?
that's all right. Get out, because you see this, he takes a special group of guys, the 144,000, which where they were good, as we're going to find here in a minute. He's going to tell us a little bit more about it. It's going to say here, these are they that were not defiled with women. They are virgins, and they are which follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These are redeemed among men, being the first fruits of God. And in their mouth was found no guile. They were without fault before the throne of God. And so we have them here. They decided, we're not getting married. They're taking a vow like the Catholic priests do. I'm not going to have a family. I'm not going to get married. They're going to stay single, is what it's trying to say here. Now, they may have other vows involved in this. It's not written here like we won't have anything. But if they read this, they know Jesus is going to take them out in 3.5 years. So all they have to do is exist at that time and preach. Okay? And it goes on here to say, here's what they preached. And I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the eternal gospel to preach to them that dwell upon the earth, and every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. And they said with a loud voice, fear God, you give him glory, for the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him that made heaven and earth and sea and the fountains of water. And so we see here the angels in heaven telling what they're going to sing, and these guys is what actually they're preaching on earth. In heaven, you got these angels telling the people in heaven, here's what they're going to preach on earth, and we have these 144 actually preaching it. Now let's see, understand what's going on here. Okay, and then after this, it says another angel said, Babylon has fallen, has fallen. Israel will fall a second time, and they are Babylon. I'll bring that out when we get talking about the great whore and stuff like that. And so we have here these 144,000 guys. They come, they preach the gospel, and they do a good job at it. Because let's go back to chapter 7 now. Okay, and verse 9. And now behold, lo, great multitude, which no man can number, of all nations, not just Jewish people, of all nations, and kindreds of people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and palms in their head. And they cried with a loud voice, salvation to our God that sitteth upon the throne. And the angels stood about the throne, about the elders and four beasts, and they fell before the throne and on faces and worshiped God. And they said, Amen, blessing, glory, be, thanksgiving, and honor, be, power, be, might be unto our God forever and ever. And one of the elders stood there and said, who are these guys? Slow down. Okay, no slow. See, who are these guys? See, you see the church in heaven. Now the guy, who are these guys? Where'd they come from? That's what John's saying. See, they're come after we're already in heaven, and that's why it surprises him. What's these guys? Where'd they come from? And that's what he's saying here. And one of the elders answered, said to me, where'd these guys come from? Well, I don't know. And he said to him, sir, you know? And he said, these are they which came out of the tribulation period. So we have another group. These are going to be killed and come out of tribulation, not raptured, actually killed, and washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. They are before the throne of God and serve night and day in the temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them, and they shall hunger no more. See, these are things that's going to happen in the tribulation period. Remember how the Antichrist is going to cut them off? You either take the mark or you don't eat. Basically what it amounts to, they're going to be hungry, and so he will kill them. They will thirst no more, which will be things that cause, we get the trumpets, you're going to find out the water's going to be poisoned and stuff like that. Neither shall the sunlight on them nor any heat. These are things that come out of the tribulation period. That's what he's saying. These all come out of the last part of the tribulation period, and they're a special group. And they hunger no more, thirst no more, the sun won't light on them anymore, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them and lead them to living waters, and to living fountains of waters, and God shall wipe the tears from their eyes. Okay, we good up to now. You understand the first half, we went to almost 7 chapters here, and we got 2 more chapters we dealt with a little bit. Now, so far you understand what's going on in Revelation. If you ain't got a question now, I'll stop and redo. Everybody got it? Okay, good.
It's not a question, but
Yeah.
it's the fact that when it says for them to run to the hills, and so I was just doing some study on this last week, and the last 2 weeks actually, it just shows that God had made provisions for those that didn't get raptured, but he still had them in mind. So he says, "Hey, go here and hide out.
Right.
This is gonna be your hideout place."
For 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so God still made provisions even after they didn't.
They didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Do you have something?
No, I'm just,
Catch it on?
yeah.
All right, as long as you understand. I mean, that's one thing I've.
Not that I understand, it's just that I know that there's more, as you read it all,
It comes together. See,
you gotta,
it don't. When they put on most of these things, it's the trumps and then the bowls, and they don't come out that way. It's all he goes back and tells. Oh, I go back and tell this part, and I'll go back and tell this judgment. See, it goes back inside the 7-year tribulation. It is not sequential thing like they show them on many things here. One other thing I'm going to mention here in the 2 Thessalonians 2:3, let no man deceive you that day will not come. Talking about the last half, 3.5 tribulation. Except there be a falling away first, and that man of sin being revealed. This is what Paul was talking about right here. This hard day coming here, 3.5 years, it's not come to this guy gets revealed. And that's what he's coming. That's what Paul was referring to when he said that. Okay? All right. Now we're going to talk about the 7 seals. When he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence about a half hour. In other words, look out, something's big going to happen. Basically what it amounts to. And I saw the 7 angels stood forth with God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given to him much incense that he should offer with the prayers of the saints upon the golden altar which is before the throne. And the smoke of this incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hands. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire in the altar and cast it to the earth. And there were voices, thunderings, and lightnings, and earthquake. Okay. Now, if you want, let's say these girls, women have kids. If you pick on her kid, mama's going to get mad. See, it's mama's vengeance. And basically that's what God's doing here. He says, get that stuff. They've been picking on them long enough, and he just throws hellfire on them, basically what matters. And now the judgments are going to come. That's what that's kind of representing there, okay? All right. And the 7 trumpets had prepared to sound, and the first angel trumpet followed their hail and fire mingled. Let's stop here a minute. Okay. Huh? 7.
you went all the way first.
Man, you missed so many words. I'm like,
Okay, slow down.
yeah.
Okay, I'll behave myself. Try. Okay, I want to keep up my thoughts is what my problem is. Okay, I'm going to put a scenario here, and as we read through this, maybe you can see why I say this. There's a big asteroid coming toward Earth. Now, it's going to hit the Earth, and it's going to do some damage. It's basically what's going on here. Now, scientists have we've got programs in Russia and America's already got this figured out how they're going to stop it. They're going to take this rocket ship, they're going to send it up there, and if they can find out it 3-4 years ahead of time, they can take this rocket and get out there, way out there, and nudge it just a little bit with a rocket and push it up. So if it's coming straight at you, and then just nudge a little bit, the time it gets you, it's way off course. See, it misses you. Good try. But that's probably not what's going to happen. I looked up today, actually come up today, it says they sent one up to try it out already. They hit this asteroid in the asteroid belt, and they was able to hit it, and they smacked it good. But the trouble is, and they knocked it off course, so that part worked. But it also had put out 35 million pounds of big rocks. Scattered it out, that's what it did. It don't destroy it. Now, plan B is what they got in plan. Plan B is, you got to find out several years ahead of time. If you wait a year or two before it gets here, it's too late. You can't send the rocket out that far ahead of time and get it moved. And so the second B plan is, we'll just try to blow it up. And they're going to send a nuclear bomb up there and try to blow up as much as they can. They know they can't get rid of the whole thing, but to see what they can dissolve and make it. Big one, half the size maybe. And maybe and I believe that's what's going to happen. Because it goes up there and they blow it up. Instead of having one big chunk, they got a smaller chunk and millions of littler chunks all over the place. And they come flying through the air, and it hits the ground and starts fires everywhere. And basically that's what's going to happen. And it's going to be not only that, it's going to be radioactive, which is going to poison the water. See, then you got to drink radioactive water, and that's going to kill the people. Okay, let's keep that in mind and see how it fits. So this first angel sounded, and there fell hail mingled with blood. In other words, people are going to get hit with this too. And they cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burned up, and all the grass was burned up. Okay. Hot rock flying everywhere. They blowed it to pieces. Instead of one big one, you got a lot of little ones coming flying. Fire, 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 and burns up 1/3 of the grass and trees. Fire's everywhere. Can't put them out. Okay. The second angel sounded. There was a great many big pieces left here. Okay, slow down, Joe. Second angel says, "We're a great mountain with fire and was cast into the sea, and third part of the sea became blood." In other words, death. That's the cause of that is what it says that. And a third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and a third part of the ships were destroyed. So this big rock, it don't hit land, it hits water. Okay, if you live on a coastal thing, you're in trouble because you're going to have tsunamis and everything else. This is really going to hit hard. And when we get to the last chapter, I said what else is going to happen. I brought me a diagram here of how the earth's going to react to it. It is going to get whammed hard. The way it's going to talk here. Let's go on to the third one. And the third angel sounded, a star from heaven fell, a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon a third part of the waters, rivers, and the fountains of water. And the name of the star was called Wormwood, means bitterness. And the third part of the waters became bitter, and many died because the water was made bitter. See, if you have all this radioactive stuff falling out of the sky, poison in the water, it gets into the rivers, it gets into the wells and stuff like that. All of a sudden it's poison, and that's what's happened here. Okay, the fourth angel. Third part of the sun was smitten, third part of the moon, third part of the stars, so the third part of them was darkened. And the day showed not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. Okay. And one of the mentioned before I go any further is, and beheld, I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe, the inhabitants of the earth, by the reason of the three angels." So he separates these four. It's actually one event shown from four different angles. You understand what I'm saying? That's why it's one thing. What about this last one here? When Jesus said these words, he says, "It wasn't for the elect's sake. I'm doing this for their sake. The days are going to be shortened." In other words, but we got here 1,260 days. Now Jesus said, well, let's make it 1,225 days. No. He meant short days. That's what Jesus meant when he said it. It goes from a shortened day from 24 hours to 16 hours. In other words, we have an 12-hour day here and 12-hour night. That when this thing hits, it goes from an 8-hour day to 8-hour night. It literally shortens the day. And he says, I have to do this because we won't be saved otherwise.
In terms of that, so the first time the earth was hit, our north pole is, what, 10 degrees?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So does that mean it's going to go farther than our, if you think about how
Wait.
it goes around the sun, it would
There's one
days even more?
There's one scripture, I didn't write it down, but it says the world's going to be turned upside down.
Okay.
But I couldn't tell if it's turned upside down, whether he's metaphorically speaking that or with this. Now, what it does say is here. I'll read to you what it says in the Bible about what this thing hits. Good old Isaiah gives an idea here. He says, in Isaiah 13, verses 12 and 13, "I will make man more precious than fine gold. Therefore, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will remove her out of her place in the day of a fierce anger." So he's going to make this thing get moved out. It's going around the sun just like this. He's going to get moved out of his place. Something's going to smack it and actually move it. And he goes on to say in Isaiah 24:22, "The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and it will move like a cottage." In other words, it's going around, all of a sudden it's going like a drunk man. And that's how hard we get hit. See, you understand what I'm saying? And it goes like this. It's spinning like this, plus it's doing this. And I guess that's what makes the shorter days, is what it's staggering like a drunk man. And basically that's what's going on. But that example will give you an idea what it's doing. And so we have here the first four trumpets are happening. I believe they have one big catastrophe, but it gives the Antichrist something else to worry about besides those Jews he's trying to chase off to the mountains. And I think that's why Jesus brings it here, but that's a personal opinion only. Okay, got any questions about any other opinions? Pastor, how about you? You on board? It's just a possibility. You can see how that could happen. All right.
That's how fast.
That's how fast it can happen. That's in the last 3.5 years. Actually, and I put it toward the end here because if you see this guy, he takes over, kicks out these three kings. He's got to go spend time in war and getting the three kings back into line. Here he conquers them back. Then he has to go down and conquer Israel too. So that takes time. So it's toward the last piece there, somewhere in there. And I think that's what his part is, because you have to allow for stuff like that. And chapter 9. Okay. I'll mention that later. It's about this. When I said this here, you find out in chapter 16, the vials, they almost say the same thing these trumpets are saying in a different way. That's what I say. It actually don't come this. It actually repeats again what's happening. And the fifth angel sounded, a star fall from heaven to earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And there came out smoke, locusts upon the earth, and to them was given power, the scorpions had power on the earth. And he was commanded them, they heard not the grass, the trees, nor any green things, but only those things which had not seal in the head. So this dates us. This thing happens now is after this. Don't hurt this period, because we're saving the trees and sealed here. This happens after that. Don't hurt the trees or anything, so that tells us it's going to happen in the last part of the tribulation. Okay, they shouldn't hurt them. But it was given to them that they should kill them. They should not kill them, but should only torment them 5 months. And their torment was as torment of a scorpion, which he striketh a man. And in those days, man will seek death, but will not find it. They shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So if you get your head cut off, you will die. What it's talking about here, if you get this disease, you will want to die, is what it's saying here. They'll be so extreme. Oh, I hurt somebody, I just want to die. But it says death will flee from them. It's not a deadly disease, is what he's trying to say. It's a poetic word saying you're not going to die from this disease. It's a disease to cause pain. And that's what it's referring to. I've heard people say, you get your head cut off, you're going to be... No, that's not what this is talking about. This is referring to that disease. Men will want to die, and they can't die, because it's not a deadly disease. And this will come, actually, let me read something in chapter 16 for you real quick. These things all copy off each other. And it says here, and the fifth angel, same angel, see it was the fifth trump, now it's the fifth angel pouring his vial out. Yeah, that's 16:10. And his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. And they blasphemed God for the pains in their sores, and yet they didn't repent. And you know the next angel, the sixth angel, says they poured upon the river Euphrates. Well, our sixth trump is poured on the Euphrates. See how it's copying off? It just tells you at a different angle. They're both kind of taking on the same judgment. That's what I'm trying to get across here. Okay, anyway, let's read on. So you understand so far, and the days of those men shall seek death, and it shall flee from them. And the shapes of these locusts. Now understand when we read this, John is in the Spirit. He sees what goes on that side. Now on this side, we'll think it's a disease. Okay? Now notice this disease is cured in 5 months. In other words, God in His grace, let them have a remedy for it. Like how many had COVID going, and they really went after that, and they finally figured out how to cure it? Well, that's the way it is here. After 5 months, God lets them figure out how to stop this hurting. So it's only going to last 5 months. Okay. And the shapes of these locusts were like horses prepared to battle, and their heads were as crowns of gold. Their faces were like faces of men. They had hair as hair of women, and their teeth were teeth of lions, and they had breastplates as breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots, many running to battle. And they had tails like scorpions, and their stings were in their tails, and their power was to hurt man 5 months. That's where I get that 5 months at. Okay. So after that, it'll be over. And they had a king over them, which is an angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is, Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. That means these two words here, and Apollon, and the Greek name Apollon is destroyer. They got a king over them, he's the destroyer. And they said the woe at first, that woe is past, and two more come after. Two more come after. Okay, so we have these guys here. The shape of this locust, we have disease here. It causes pain, but not death. And it lasts for 5 months. Basically is what it said here. Okay. Any comments, questions, or anything so far? Boy, you guys are good. Okay, let's go on. I got time yet? Oh, 2 minutes. Okay, 6 angels, and I heard a voice of the 4 horns of the golden altar, which was before the God, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels, which are in the bound of great Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed and prepared for a day, hour, and a day, and a month, and to slay 1/3 part of men. Now, I'm going to save this for next week because it gets a little deeper. What's going to happen is, this is Armageddon he's going to talk about here. They're going to kill 1/3 of people here. Is 2 billion people. If there's 6 billion on the planet, I think there might be a little more than that. 2 billion are going to die of this. There's going to be a big war going, and we're going to go back to chapter 16 and talk where it talks about the Euphrates there. These are actually going to be talking about 2 armies coming together. Jesus doesn't stop them. It says in Psalms 110, the Lord in thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. These kings come together. You got the 10 kings on this side. We have maybe Europe, India, and China, whoever wants to come, and they get to battle here, and there's probably going to be some atomic bombs going off because there's 2 billion people, is a lot to kill in this amount of time. And so that's what's going to talk about here. This other end, prepared Armageddon, and they're going to come and battle this thing out, and somehow 2 billion people get killed or wiped out of the planet. So that's 1/3 of the population of the planet, and we'll start with that because I ain't got enough time to really go into it deep. Okay.
4 angels, are them the ones that are underneath the Euphrates River?
I think it's angels, and it refers to, it's talk about messengers. Now it could be angels, or it could be these 4 kings sitting there waiting to get over across the bridge here. I'm going to go get them. See, it's a messenger from God. He says, I'll strike through kings. And that's why I say it could be 4 countries sitting there, 4 armies sitting there. And this army is so big, it's something like 200 million people. Now, that's not everybody on the field, but that means all the backup behind them, too, would be there supporting them. So there's 200 million man army. That has to be more than one country involved. And I think it's talking about, my personal opinion, is talking about 4 kings or 4 countries involved going to come and fight this Antichrist. And they're sitting there, and it's dried up so that he can get across, and they attack him in Armageddon in there. Because anytime you see the word angels, it could all be just messenger of God. Now, he can use you as a messenger of God, then you're not an angel, but you're a messenger, see, and that's what I believe he's talking about this time. Now, you can have your own opinion and make it spiritual and say angels are sitting there going to come and wipe them out, but I believe it's these armies going to come in and kill.
The reason why, because the Euphrates River
It's drying up right now. I know.
rapidly,
I know.
supposed to be 4 angels underneath the Euphrates River.
And that's where they get this at. That's what they get this at.
Chained up, and when they're released, then another wave of heavy.
It doesn't say actually chained up. It says loose them. Yeah, so that's where they get that conversion at there. Okay, any comments before we quit? Okay, all right. You guys are easy to teach. Okay.
That's a hard subject, because it does go back and forth.
It does, and that's